That's not normal. That's not what moms do. Then came the ultimate bombshell. The statement that changed everything. About Drew's theory and Willow's legal defense. Mom shot you. Dad. W.Y. said. Directly to Drew, using a term of reference that indicated his understanding of Drew's role in the family. Mom shot you. I know because I saw it. I know she did it and she's sick. She needs to get help, not get married. Shock and disbelief. The wedding venue erupted into chaos. Gasps turned into murmurs. Murmurs escalated into raised voices. The guests exchanged bewildered glances, struggling to process what an 8-year-old had just alleged at his mother's wedding ceremony. Why is testimony delivered with the innocent clarity only a child could provide, directly contradicted everything Drew had believed and had based his entire marriage plan upon? Drew's face went white. He looked from W.Y. to Willow, searching her expression for some indication that the child was confused or mistaken. But Willow's reaction, the tears streaming down her face, the way her body seemed to collapse inward, suggested something far more complicated than a simple misunderstanding. That's not your confused, Drew stammered, but even he didn't sound convinced by his own words. The foundation of his carefully constructed defense crumbled before his eyes. Willow, overwhelmed by her son's words and the accusations being thrown at her in front of everyone she knew, could barely speak. "W.Y. baby," she began, but couldn't find the words to deny what he had claimed or to explain his allegations. The mental health concern beyond the accusations about shooting. Why his implications about his mother's mental state reverberated through the gathered crowd. The year-old had framed his mother's alleged actions not as those of a criminal mastermind, but as symptoms of someone struggling with untreated mental illness. He described her behavior following Sasha's infant daughter as erratic and concerning. The actions of someone not thinking clearly, not operating from a place of sound judgment. "Mom needs a doctor," W.Y. repeated, his young face showing a maturity and concern that broke hearts, even as it shattered the wedding ceremony. "Mom needs help. She's sick." The suggestion that Willow was experiencing mental health issues that had manifested in dangerous and obsessive behaviors added a new dimension to the investigation into Drew's shooting. Instead of a calculated crime of passion or a deliberate attack, Wyatt's words painted a picture of a woman potentially struggling with untreated psychological conditions that could have driven her to commit violent acts without full awareness of her actions. The unraveling of Drew's plans. What had started as a wedding ceremony, a legal maneuver designed to protect Willow from prosecution, had transformed into a nightmare for everyone involved. Drew's grand plan to marry his way out of this problem and to shield Willow from legal consequences now seemed not only futile but potentially complicit in covering up a far more serious situation involving someone who might desperately need psychiatric help rather than marriage. The guests began to disperse, the festive atmosphere replaced by confusion and concern. Some people check their phones to call loved ones, eager to spread the news of the shocking turn of events. Others remained frozen in place, attempting to process what they had witnessed. Harrison Chase's expression was unreadable, vindicated in his concerns about Drew, yet deeply worried about what this meant for Willow and her children. Moving forward, as the wedding venue descended into disarray, questions multiplied. Would the authorities now pursue a different angle in their investigation? Would W.Y.'s testimony be admissible in court? Or would his youth and relationship to both the victim and the accused complicate the legal proceedings? Most importantly, would Willow receive the help she allegedly needed, whether as a defendant in a criminal case or as a woman struggling with untreated mental illness? The dramatic interruption at the altar had transformed what was meant to be a protective measure into a revelation that demanded answers. The story of Drew and Willow's wedding, instead of being a triumph of love, conquering legal obstacles, had become irreversible. McKenna addressed this inevitable confrontation during his interview, stating regarding how this will impact his relationship with Jocelyn, "I believe he's had to enforce the rules several times, but it hasn't really worked. I think this time she might finally understand that you don't cross Brennan." The actor's words carry an ominous weight, suggesting that this incident will serve as a harsh awakening for Jocelyn about the true nature of the organization she's working for and the man she reports to. McKenna also acknowledged the inherent hypocrisy in Brennan's position, admitting that his character occasionally operates in moral gray areas and bends rules when it serves his purposes. However, the crucial distinction is one of hierarchy and power. Brennan remains Jocelyn's commanding officer, and that power dynamic is about to become painfully apparent. As McKenna pointedly observed, she's going to realize that pretty quickly when her boyfriend is out of the picture. The harsh reality of working within a strict command structure is about to hit Jocelyn with devastating force. The mystery surrounding Vaughn's exact whereabouts adds another layer of intrigue and potential danger to this already volatile situation. Several possibilities exist, each more troubling than the last. If Brennan decides to exercise the full extent of his authority with maximum severity, Vaughn could find himself detained in a secure WSB holding facility, essentially imprisoned without any contact with the outside world until Brennan decides otherwise. This isn't outside the realm of possibility given the strict security protocols and need-to-know basis on which intelligence agencies operate. Alternatively, Vaughn might have been transferred to a remote WASB assignment halfway across the globe. Perhaps a dangerous undercover operation in a hostile territory where communication would be impossible and survival uncertain. This would effectively eliminate any possibility of him continuing his romance with Jocelyn, while also serving the dual purpose of utilizing his skills for agency operations. Or perhaps Brennan has taken an even more calculated approach, reassigning Vaughn to a desk job at WASB headquarters far from Port Charles, ensuring physical separation while keeping him under close surveillance to prevent any attempts at unauthorized contact. Regardless of the specific mechanism employed, Brennan's ultimate objective remains crystal clear. He wants Jocelyn's complete and undivided attention focused on her mission. Responsibilities. Not distracted by romantic entanglements and emotional complications. This forced separation serves as a brutal teaching moment, a harsh lesson about the absolute necessity of following Brennan's directives and the severe consequences that follow when those boundaries are crossed. In Brennan's worldview, personal feelings are liabilities. Emotional attachments are vulnerabilities, and agents who can't compartmentalize don't survive long in this line of work. When Jocelyn inevitably confronts Brennan demanding answers about Vaughn's sudden disappearance, she's going to encounter a wall of cold professionalism and uncompromising authority. Brennan has no obligation to provide her with detailed explanations or justify his operational decisions. In fact, the most likely scenario involves him delivering a curt, dismissive response that prioritizes mission security over personal concerns. He might simply tell her in no uncertain terms to concentrate on her assigned duties and forget that Vaughn ever existed, a command that will undoubtedly ignite Jocelyn's fierce independent streak and sense of justice. The psychological impact on Jocelyn cannot be overstated. She's about to experience firsthand the ruthless efficiency of intelligence operations where human connections are expendable and personal happiness is subordinate to organizational objectives. This traumatic event could fundamentally alter her perspective on the WSB, on Brennan, and on her own future within this shadowy world. The idealistic young woman who believed she could balance romance and espionage is about to confront the harsh reality that sometimes those worlds are mutually exclusive. General Hospital spoilers strongly indicate that Jocelyn's reaction to the revelation about Vaughn will be nothing short of seismic, potentially triggering a rebellion against Brennan's authority or even a complete reassessment of her commitment to the WSB. The coming episodes promise intense confrontations, emotional devastation, and potentially irreversible changes to the power dynamics in Port Charles. Fans should prepare themselves for some of the most gripping and emotionally charged scenes as Jocelyn processes this betrayal and decides how to respond. Next, we will learn about the issue of Nina Reeves' dangerous game that's about to explode in her face, bringing devastating consequences that could reshape Port Charles forever. Na's calculated betrayal unleashes chaos. The tension in Port Charles has reached a boiling point as Nina Reeves made a catastrophic decision that's sending shock waves through multiple families. In a moment of desperation mixed with calculated manipulation, Nina deliberately pointed the finger at Portia Robinson during a private conversation with Sonny Corinthos, suggesting the respected doctor could be linked to the shooting of Drew Kane. This wasn't just casual gossip or innocent speculation. Na specifically named Portia as a potential suspect, knowing full well the explosive chain reaction this accusation would trigger throughout the tight-knit community. The move reveals Na's willingness to sacrifice anyone, even close friends, when she feels cornered or threatened. What makes this betrayal particularly venomous is the fact that Nina and Portia have shared a genuine friendship strengthened by Curtis Ashford's connection to both women. Na understood exactly what she was doing when she whispered Portia's name to Sonny. She was lighting a fuse that would detonate under someone who trusted her. The calculated nature of this accusation suggests Nina has become increasingly reckless, willing to destroy relationships and reputations to protect herself or advance her own agenda. This single conversation may prove to be Na's most devastating mistake yet, as the consequences spiral far beyond anything she anticipated. Alexis Davis turns up the heat on investigation. The situation escalated dramatically when Alexis Davis, serving as Willow Tate's defense attorney, seized upon Nina's accusation with the tenacity of a bulldog. Alexis has every motivation to pursue alternative suspects in Drew's shooting is clearing. Her client's name remains her top priority. Armed with Na's tip about Portia, Alexis launched into investigative mode, digging deep into the doctor's whereabouts and activities on the fateful night of the shooting. What she uncovered sent alarm bells ringing throughout the legal and medical communities. Portia Robinson lacks a solid, verifiable alibi for the exact time frame when Drew Kane was shot. This discovery transforms Portia from a passing mention into a legitimate person of interest in the PCPD's investigation. The absence of a concrete alibi places the co-chief of staff of General Hospital in an incredibly precarious position, with law enforcement now circling closer to questioning her directly. Alexis, known for her sharp legal mind and relentless pursuit of the truth, won't let this thread go unraveled. The attorney's investigation threatens to expose secrets that multiple parties have worked desperately to keep buried, and the fallout could be career-ending for one of Port Charles' most respected medical professionals. Ava Jerome becomes the messenger of doom. The plot thickens considerably when Ava Jerome enters the picture as the unlikely bearer of devastating news. Ava occupies a unique position in Port Charles social circles. She maintains close friendships with both Nina Reeves and Portia Robinson, creating a painful conflict of loyalty. Her bond with Portia runs particularly deep thanks to Trina Robinson, whom Ava has taken under her wing as a beloved pro-ish. Ava's protective instincts toward Trina extend naturally to the young woman's mother, making Ava a fierce defender of the Robinson family. When Ava discovers what Nina has done, throwing Portia directly into the path of a murder investigation, she faces an agonizing decision. Despite her friendship with Nina, Ava's loyalty to Portia and Trina proves stronger, compelling her to warn the doctor about the betrayal. This revelation will arrive like a thunderbolt, shattering Portia's trust and transforming her relationship with Nina from friendship to something far darker. Ava's role as the messenger places her in an uncomfortable middle position, but she'll prioritize protecting Trina's family over maintaining peace with Nina. This choice demonstrates that even in Port Charles' morally complicated landscape, some bonds prove unbreakable. The Isaiah gain in secret creates a double-edged sword. The complexity of Portia's situation deepens exponentially because of one crucial detail. She does have an alibi for the night of Drew's shooting, but it's an alibi she cannot afford to reveal. Portia spent that evening with Dr. Isaiah Gainan, engaging in an affair that violates multiple professional and personal boundaries. As co-chief of Staff at General Hospital, Portia holds a position of tremendous authority and responsibility, making any romantic or sexual relationship with a subordinate surgeon an egregious breach of professional ethics. The hospital board would view such fraternization as grounds for immediate termination, potentially destroying the medical career Portia has spent decades building. The timing of this affair adds another layer of catastrophic complication to an already explosive situation. Portia and Curtis Ashford were technically on a break during her liaison with Isaiah, which might provide some moral wiggle room except for one devastating fact. Portia is now pregnant and Curtis currently believes with absolute certainty that he is the father of this child. If the truth about Portia's affair with Isaiah surfaces during the investigation, the paternity of her unborn baby immediately becomes questionable. Curtis would be shattered by the revelation. Trina would be caught in the crossfire of her parents' disintegrating relationship, and Portia's entire life would implode simultaneously on professional, personal, and family fronts. Yet, despite these terrifying potential consequences, Portia faces an even worse alternative: remaining silent about her alibi and potentially becoming the primary suspect in Drew Kane's attempted murder. The excruciating choice between professional disgrace and criminal prosecution represents the kind of impossible dilemma that defines soap opera drama at its finest. Portia must now calculate which revelation would cause less total destruction to her life, knowing that either path leads through a minefield of pain and loss. Portia's fury targets Nina for ultimate revenge when Portia Robinson finally learns the full truth about Nina's betrayal, that her supposed friend deliberately threw her under the bus to Sonny Corinthos. Setting off this entire nightmare investigation, the doctor's wrath will be biblical in its intensity. Portia is not a woman who takes betrayal lightly, especially when the betrayal threatens everything she has worked for and everyone she loves. The old saying, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned," takes on new meaning when applied to a brilliant, resourceful physician who now has every motivation to exact revenge on the person who tried to destroy her. Nina Reeves has made a powerful and dangerous new enemy, and she may soon discover that crossing Portia Robinson was one of the worst mistakes of her life. What form will Portia's vengeance take? The possibilities are endless and chilling. Portia possesses medical knowledge, professional connections, and intimate knowledge of Na's vulnerabilities and secrets. She could expose Na's past misdeeds, sabotage her relationships, or find ways to make Nina's life in Port Charles utterly miserable. The coming weeks promise explosive confrontations, shocking revelations, and a revenge plot that will keep General Hospital fans glued to their screens. Nina wanted to deflect attention from herself, but instead, she's created a formidable adversary who won't rest until justice is served.